Hello everyone, it's Religious Fanboy here again, and today we are discussing the Christian lessons and themes that are paralleled in the manga Promised Neverland, Volume 15. The main lesson for today is that God blesses us when we refrain from pursuing vengeance. Whenever any of us feel wronged by someone, it is very easy and it's our instinctual desire and urge to pursue vengeance. If someone punches you, the gut reaction is to punch them back. But God calls us to resist that temptation of demanding respect in that instance, and the temptation and resisting the temptation to retaliate against violence with more violence. Our Bible verse for today is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 9, which says, "Do not repay evil for evil or reviling for reviling, but on the contrary, bless, for to this you were called, that you may obtain a blessing." And the illustrations from the manga volume is Emma and Ray wanting to pursue a peaceful resolution to their conflict and their pursuit of freedom from the fear of being eaten and hunted by the monsters. In contrast to Norman and his friends desiring vengeance against the current farm situation in their desire to wipe out the Ratri clan and the elite monsters. And the talking points. My first talking point, as we've done in the past, these come primarily from our Bible verse, which the first talking point does, which is, do not repay evil for evil. And this goes along with the idea of hatred, where when we are attacked, our gut reacts, as well as the thing that we are often shown in most action movies, is that the appropriate response for when someone wrongs us by the world's standards is to fight back, pursue vengeance, and hurt the person who hurt us in the same way that they hurt us. Some of the earliest laws were even built on this. Of the phrases by Hammurabi's laws, and some of the laws even messaged in the ancestral laws talked about in Numbers and Leviticus, which are where our phrases like an eye for an eye comes from, or the law that people had where if someone were caught stealing from someone, you'd cut their hand off. But God says, and Jesus says in the New Testament, as well as Peter is thought to have said here, is that we are to bless, and this is my next talking point, is that God calls us to do, this is another example of God calling us to do something that is radically crazy by the world's standards, but is something that God calls us to do, and that is bless those who persecute us and do what we can to live peaceably with them. And we see this portrayed in the gospel and what Jesus did and God did for us. Because we are told that while we were still rebellious and opposing God, that He sent His one and only Son to die on the cross for us. Not only did God not seek vengeance, but He allowed Himself to take on the consequences for our trespasses against Him so that we could be saved. And because of God showing us mercy, in order to follow Jesus, we must also show mercy to those who trespass against us. And the next talking point is that the idea that God blesses us when we bless those who persecute us. There is another Bible verse that says that we are judged by the same way that we judge others. And this means that in return, and that we are judged by the same scales, that we will be judged by God with the same scales that we use to judge others. So this means that when we are able to show mercy to those who trespass against us, God in return, when we come before Him in judgment, that God will continue to show us mercy and forgiveness. And the main ways that we actually see this earlier on in Promised Neverland is due to the friendship that Emma and Ray and the kids that escaped the farm that them and Norma were raised in, were able to become friends with Mujika and Sunju soon after they had escaped the farm. And it is because of their willingness to befriend and attempt to live peaceably with these more advanced monstrous creatures that they were able to learn how to hunt and fight for the first time. And it is those teachings that gave them the foundation to get this far and survive the threats that they've had to survive in order to get to this point. And I want to end this with a reading of a psalm that goes along with the idea of God blessing us while when we are able to live peaceably with those who oppose us. And the psalm is Psalms 23. And in my life, I've benefited in seasons of my life of praying psalms, specifically this one. So if you'd like to take any position of prayer that is preferable to you during this time, and allow this to be a prayer for you in your relationship with God, and a prayer request about what struggles you may be facing right now, feel free to do so. And here is the psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And with that being said, I hope and pray that you took away from the sermon whatever God intends for you to take away from it. And there are links in the description of this video for Christchurch, who has allowed us to use their sanctuary to record once again. And as a thank you to them, there is a link to set up either a one-time gift or reoccurring giving, if you feel inclined to do so, as well as same possibility for another church that I serve with, Cornerstone Church, as well as the two ministries that we are raising money for through the October sales this month, and those being Casas por Cristo and Love the Lou. Their links to their websites are also in the description of this video. If you research them and feel called to donate money to help their ministries. And we say these things. And with that being said, may God be with you. And see you next time. Bye.